This video is brought to you by Robinhood, the investment brokers that let you buy stocks, ETFs, and cryptocurrencies all commission free. There's still time to take advantage of this historic 2020 stock market crash, and if you sign up using the link in the description below, you'll instantly receive one free stock without even depositing a single penny. No, this still isn't my real portfolio, but I have added to it a bit, like the stock on your screen. That's Cody. They make like makeup, Revlon, stuff like that. What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. My Valentine is back, the original DM waifu, and this time she brought along a synchro monster of all things. If you would have told me Harpies were getting an extra deck card this year, I would have probably said, oh man, getting another Exceed, that's dope, or maybe even a Link monster. But if you said it was going to be a synchro, I'd have been like, get out of town. They don't even have any tuners. How are they going to make this card? But obviously, it is very, very easy to summon. There were people in my comment section saying, man, Cap, this card ain't even good, it's trash. I don't know, guys, I don't know what your expectations were. I mean, if you guys thought Harpies were going to be made like tier 0 by this card, okay, maybe you're disappointed, but I look at cards in a vacuum. I look at cards in their individual archetype. I feel like this card is number one, stupidly easy to make. I mean, are you as a Yu-Gi-Oh player good enough to just normal summon Perfumer? Because if you can normal summon a Perfumer, if you're good enough to do that, you can make their synchro just off of one card. So it's not that difficult to make. It gives them disruption and it gives them another element. And also, when you do summon it, it does trigger off of Hunting Ground. So you actually can get 2 disruptions out of 1 summon, which is obviously very good. Shout outs to my homeboy Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh. You guys gotta check them out. These cards weren't even online for 24 hours and he was like, yo Cap, I got something brewing in the lab, you got to check this out. So I love Yu-Gi-Oh players who have that type of passion and enthusiasm, and of course the link to his channel will be in the description below. But anyways, let's go ahead and roll these duels and show you guys how easy it is to summon your Scratch Claw. So as you can see, normal summon Harpie Perfumer, get a copy of Elegant Egotist, then summon your regular Harpie Lady from your deck. Boom, you already got a level 8 synchro. So for anyone thinking that it's hard to summon, like, are you smart enough to normal summon a monster? Because if you can, you can definitely summon her. Now obviously Trap Trick has always been good in Harpies because it gets you Featherstorm from your deck, and Featherstorm, you know, locks out your opponent. It's basically an Azathoth, but it's even better now because you can wait for your opponent to commit their normal summon or to extend monsters on the board. You can activate Trap Trick, then you can bounce their monster, and you can get your Featherstorm and lock them out of monster effects for the turn. So basically your opponent ain't doing nothing. It makes it so not only can they not get any board presence that you guys just saw, but then when they try to activate monster effects, you can just go ahead and Featherstorm them, and they can't even, like, you know, fall back on trying to play defensive, setting monsters or anything like that. So I feel like the card gives them just more dimensions. And even when your opponent is trying to defend themselves with their cards, that's when you can just bounce their monsters back off of you know, Scratch Claw that way. So another reason why, like, I think she's pretty good. Activating it off the Hysteric Party, that means that you get a bounce. In this situation, probably going to be an OTK or maybe close to an OTK. Anyways, gonna go for Harpie Conductor. Start taking out that back row simultaneously over and over and over. He's already used the bounce effect this turn, so that's why it's not activating again, but more than enough offense, more than likely to, like, probably close out this duel. Let's see if he has enough. Okay, not quite enough, but he is going to be able to go for the, let's see, that's some more Bird of Kings. Now, usually you would be able to, like, if you play the 1 barrier statue, you can pull that out of your deck and lock your opponent out to where at least they have to normal summon and attack it. But if you're not playing that, of course, you're still going to be able to pull, like, some Harpie Ladies out of your deck. Opponent tries to activate a spell card, bounce their monster back to their hand. This time during the end phase, I will just go ahead and summon a Harpie Lady, pop your back row as well. I feel like she's good, man. The fact that she triggers off of Hunting Ground is, like, really, really solid. All of this obviously is just flex. Like, the game's pretty much over. And Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh is like, no, it's not over, Cap. It's not over until I have fully flexed on this guy. This is Harpie Oracle, right? Yeah, Harpie Oracle I think is my favorite when it comes to the artwork of the Harpie Ladies. Anyways, another duel versus Plunder Patrol. And this build that Stardust Yu-Gi-Oh is playing, he's playing the what's it called? He's playing Unexpected Die, basically just to summon like the original Harpie Lady out of your deck to kind of make sure that you can always get to Scratch Claw turn 1. Now, obviously, these boards don't be like, oh, Cap, what is a 1 disruption board? Guys, not every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh has to be, freaking Animancipators or Pendulums with 10 negates turn 1. I mean, look at El Dorado. How many negates do they put turn 1? And they're like, obviously a meta deck. So your opponent probably going to use that Dark Rule no more. But that's when you just pull out the Featherstorm. You're like, oh, you thought I needed my monster to win? All right, well, how about you don't get any monster effects this turn and see how far you can go? As somebody who is very interested in playing the Plunder Patrol deck, I don't know like how much you're really doing if you're not going to use monster effects. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had the equip spell, so he was able to get into, the list, but that's great. But like if you don't have any Plunder Patrol monsters in your hand, list doesn't do anything because you don't get the negation out of it. You also don't get the search. So he's going to be able to go for another Harpie from your deck, probably Harpie Harpist. Oh no, I'm mistaken. He went for Harpie Perfumer. Now he's going to go for the Synchro. He activates a spell effect. That means it gets bounced, or I guess it was a spell activation. Start beating your opponent down. And it's kind of difficult to mount this card, to mount Scratch Class, because if your opponent needs to use again or spell or trap effect or a spell or trap like a hard activation, you generally get to bounce the card. So, that's something really nice. Now, I think he's actually going to activate. Yeah, he's activating the field spell here, or the field spell effect. And, again, even if your opponent uses one of their cards, Scratch Class can just activate or effect and bounce that card off the field, and your opponent's going to be at least mildly infuriated probably by that. Opponent has a monster on field, activate any of these spells and traps, simply bounce the golden hair off the field back to the hand, and then it's pretty much just curtains. Even if you run out of stuff to blow up, like if your opponent doesn't have spells and traps on the field, just blow your own spells and traps up. You guys know if you blow up Hysteric Sign, you get a +3 out of that. If you blow up Alluring Mirror Split, you get a +1 out of that. Anyways, final duel is against Zodiac, and again, Harpies is a deck that can go first or it can go second. This turn 1, I will admit, this turn 1 was trash. This turn 1 didn't really look all that good, but Featherstorm activates from the hand, and that's the beautiful thing of it. Now, he did end up popping. I guess he figured I might as well use Pankatrops while I can. I don't think I would have done that. I think I just would have attacked, because Harpie Harpist floats. So if you kill her, it doesn't really do anything. She just activates while in the graveyard, and during the end, she's basically Skarm. Yeah, she's like Burning Abyss Skarm. During the end phase, you get the what's it called? This was a misplay. See, the thing about Featherstorm people don't get is they can keep active. It's not quite like Azathoth. Your opponent can still keep trying to use monster effects like hand traps, but they just won't resolve. They're going to be negated. So I guess it's even better, basically, because your opponent can keep trying to throw hand traps at you, and none of them are actually going to stick. Setting back row, also Mystic Mind. These cards historically, well, I don't want to say historically because Mystic Mind's new, but we know that those cards aren't very good. Mystic Mind has no power over Harpies, because if you have Hunting Ground, all you gotta do is just normal or special summon a Harpie monster and just go ahead and blow that up. He's top decking, he top decked Dark Magician, and I was like, what the heck is going on in this duel? But then you'll understand with his next draw what exactly like he's playing and why he ended up topping that. So Mystic Mind's gonna go down, start going into beatdown mode. I believe he's gonna top deck it now. This just kind of shows you the luck of the draw. Top decks are Red Eyes. I was like, oh, he's playing the Red Eyes Dark Dragoon engine in Zodiac. They do that in the OCG because, I mean, why not? Why not just splash in one copy in your extra deck? I think, it works. This would have been a position in the past where if you didn't want to attack over a face down monster, which it's a Veiler, so it's really not that much of a harm, but you don't know it's a Veiler, you would have had to go into Lightning Chidori in the past. But now with Scratch Clash, you can just, obviously trigger her effect with your Hunting Ground by even targeting the Hunting Ground itself. So, it is another way of being able to, I guess, get a little bit more offense. I think that Hunting Ground is going to ultimately destroy itself, but it's not going to stop that ever so important battle damage. And I think we might be seeing a GG, because if he can resolve, yeah, there it is. If he can resolve the Elegant Egotist, it's pretty much curtains for the Dark Magician player, for the Zodiac player. I'm sorry, I'm looking at his hand and I'm seeing Dark Magician and Red Eyes, and I'm like, wait, what deck is this again? It's Zodiac. I'm pretty sure if we look through this guy's deck, we'll find a Red Eyes, a Red Eyes fusion in there somewhere. But yeah, I just think people were, I feel like people were being too harsh with this card. I'm not saying, again, that Harpies are going to be a meta stomping deck, but I feel like anytime you get legitimate disruption, and it's easy disruption to make, I feel like your deck is just going to become a little more consistent and just a little more versatile. And really, I think that Harpies didn't really have to sacrifice anything. To be completely honest, I still think you can run Extravagance in Harpies. I mean, do you really, like, how many times are you really summoning Harpie Conductor? For the most part, in Harpies, the main cards you ever summon are like Lightning Chidori. I mean, now, obviously, Scratch Clash, and then maybe like a Utopia Double, although the Utopia Double doesn't always work with the Extravagance package, but you're only summoning a few cards when it comes to like the extra deck anyways in Harpies. And again, we can summon her back from the graveyard from Hysteric Party. We didn't see that in the duels, but of course it is an option. Basically, as long as you can get to this card like ASAP, you're gonna have a good time with Harpies, because most decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Need to use some type of monster effects. Anyways, if you guys are interested and downloading this deck, of course it will be in the description below. And also, don't freak out, because as I said in my Harpie video yesterday, I did shoot some Harpie duels before, but they're not going to be uploaded for like 2 weeks. So don't freak out when you guys see that, because I don't generally change my upload schedule even when newer cards are released. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.